Good evening, everyone. My name is Anita. I almost every time forget to mention that. And then I always think that the Zoom always has a name at the bottom, right? But today I make a note to, made a note to mention it. I welcome everyone on behalf of Manhattan Meditation Center. We extend very warm welcome to everyone who is joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and on Zoom. Before we dive into today's topic, just wanted to mention a couple of things. These Thursday talks, which we called the series Wisdom in Action, they are available on our Facebook account. When I say our, that means Manhattan Meditation Center's Facebook account and on our YouTube channel. So if you want to review this or want to listen to any of the previous talks, please subscribe to YouTube channel or you can log on to our Facebook account. Besides these talks, Manhattan Center is also offering, we have been offering that for a while, live meditation twice a day, every day, for 15 minutes only. So there is a power boost meditation at 12 in the afternoon and good night meditation at 8 o'clock. Recordings of those are also available on YouTube. So if you have any interest or inclination, you can either join live both the times or either of the time, or you can watch the videos and meditate along as per your convenience. Besides meditation and these talks, we also started uploading our, we started conducting some workshops. So the workshops are also available on our YouTube channel. Last weekend, we did a workshop on the topic called This Elusive Thing Called Love. So if you have any interest, the recordings of that workshop is also available on our YouTube channel. So I want to share a little story. It kind of ties up with today's topic. In my childhood, I didn't play many board games. Just if I remember correctly, probably the very simple ones, the snake and ladder and maybe Ludo. So when my children were very young and they were in elementary grades, we were playing different all board games. Some of them I learned and I played with them, but there were some which I kind of never even knew the name. So one time my friend was over, she was visiting us with her children, and children were all sitting and playing game. And she and I were sitting on the side and chatting, and suddenly there was a shout. My 8-year-old daughter, she shouted and said, "Mom, you became a grandmother." And I was just like, what? And then we burst out in a laugh. And then after some time, there was another shout and another child said, "Oh, I am bankrupt." And then there was another burst of laugh. And later I learned they're playing a game called Life. Of course, it was a board game. And but it was funny at that time when I heard. Although first time when I heard, "Mom, you became a grandmother," it gave me a little jolt. Many things are said about life, right? Life has been philosophized by so many people. We hear life is a struggle. We hear life is a battle. It's also being said life is an uphill climb. Then they also say life is a journey. But the spiritual perspective adds one more angle to it and say life can also be treated as a game. So let's explore today's topic with Sister Rona. Can the real life be treated? Can we have a perspective towards the real life also? Like it's in the spirit of game. that can be treated as a game. No matter what scene comes in the life in front of us, can we maintain that sportsman spirit and play it like a game? Let's hear Sister Rona. I'm going to just Sister Rona, very warm welcome.
Good evening, everyone. And before we start, maybe we can start with a minute of silence and some reflection on each one for ourselves. Just reflect for a minute on this topic. Life. What is your perspective on life? And what is this idea of game? Thank you. One of the things that comes to mind when reflecting on this topic is we are, by nature, we are made to play. And although growing up and getting into adulthood, we lose that, and we even think we are not playing is entertainment and it is not a useful thing, or we think we have grown up now and we have become adults, so we shouldn't be playful anymore. But by nature, we are made to play. It is part of the innate nature. And one way to see that is in children and in babies. Now, if they are not in pain, they play. And whatever they, whatever they get in front of them, whatever they find, they use it to play. Even a baby, they can play with their fingers. They put it in their mouth, or they play with hair, or they play with some, the sheets of their crib, or the cushions, or anything they find. They play with it because the nature of play and the nature of playfulness is naturally manifest. But as we grow up, for some reason we outgrow that. The word outgrow may not even be the right word. We lose that playfulness and that nature. And maybe that is actually not a good thing. Because a sign of children, one of the big signs that children are sick is they stop playing. Mothers know when the baby is not feeling well because they stop that playful, cheerful nature. It stops. Children, when growing up, they don't want to play anymore. They don't want to go out to play, or they don't want to play the games. It means something is wrong. Something is sick. They are sick, or something is wrong. They feel sad for whatever reason. But when they're in a natural state and in a good mood, they play. And so this is a very useful insight into the nature of our being, of who we innately are. We are made to play. And also when we play games or when we play sports, we bring out the best in ourselves. It doesn't really matter whether we win or lose, because it doesn't affect our normal flow of life. But we still like to play, and we still like to do good in play and games. But as we grow older, we lose that. For some reason, we lose that playful nature, and we get into a more ego-based existence where everything is made to achieve, and everything is about accumulating, and everything is about a certain name and fame and a certain identity and survival, instead of that playful attitude, which for many of us, if not all of us, is natural when we are young, when we are very young. And that hasn't changed over the ages. Babies and young children, and in all cultures and at all times throughout history, that natural nature of playfulness is there. Now, what happens to us, and why do we lose that attitude? And is it useful for us? Is it useful to lose our that attitude? If we say, for example, simple thing like household work or washing the dishes, we all have to wash the dishes or clean up our house unless we have someone who does it for us and we pay them for it, but we all have experience of washing the dishes. Now we can wash the dishes with an attitude of, oh gosh, this is duty and it is useless, waste of time and not pleasant. We can do it with that attitude. But a friend of mine, he says he loves to wash the dishes because he feels it is playing with water, splashing water and playing with water. And when the dishes are clean, the dishes smile at him. And so every time when he does the dishes, he is in that playful mood and he feels he's playing with water and he's making the dishes shine and the dishes smile back at him, and he is happy with that. So the same task is done. One side it can be done in that heavy mood and that complaining mood and that burdened mood, and on the other side it is that game spirit. Now, in which situation we would feel happier? it is the same task that is getting done and needs to be done. It is the same time that it takes. It is the same energy that is used, physical energy that is used to do it. But in one perspective and in one mode, someone is cheerful and happy and playful. And in the other mood, in the other perspective, it is a drag, a burden. Now, if we are clever, we make everything into a game and live more in line with that natural nature of lightness and of playfulness. And we ourselves will feel better for it. But this art of seeing life as a game, we have to consciously make effort for that. Because the herd mentality is something else. No, what Anita was saying, life is, what was it? She's saying uphill struggle, and life is, I don't know, all kinds of things that we have to call life. So the general perspective on life is not of gain. And so we need to have the courage to break free from that herd mentality that has influenced us and that influences all of us, to think in a certain way and to stigmatize certain activities as a drag, certain activities as useless, certain activities as a waste, and only certain activities we feel that are great and good. But it diminishes our possibility to experience every second of life as an adventure, as a pleasant experience. Now, from the spiritual perspective, it is also useful to approach these things, this topic and this physical world. So I will make some sketches on the whiteboard to give you a bit of a feel how can we Anita, can you make me host the other one, not this one, but the other PK Manhattan? How can we approach life and hold this game spirit, this game mentality?
Is it good, Sister Rona?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone can see the screen, the whiteboard?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So it needs a bit of a broad-mindedness and a flexibility of intellect to grasp these deeper concepts. And just like Anita was saying with her children, they say, oh, I got bankrupt, the children playing a game, I get bankrupt, or I'm having a child. And then you find out it was a game, and then you laugh about it. So initially you take it seriously, but then you realize it is a game, and then you come into lightheartedness of spirit. Now, can we do that with life itself and with every aspect of life? And even this body, see it as part of a game that is being played. Is that possible? And yes, it is, but it requires a broad-mindedness and a spiritual perspective on life. And so I'll try to draw something that may help you grasp this understanding. So say this whole physical world is in a box. So this in this square, the whole physical world is in here. That means also the planets and the galaxy and this planet and America and Russia and Brazil and India and China, all is in this square. And also the past and the present and the future and New York City and wherever you are and this body, it is all part of what is going on in this square. And so there are human beings, and there is a sun, and there is rain, and there is dollars, and there is Zoom and iPad, and there is music, and there is job, and there is all kinds of things in this box. This whole physical world is as if in this box. And there is one who is experiencing this. You are experiencing all of this. And that one we indicate as a star, a being of consciousness, the invisible experiencer, the soul or the spirit, the one who has a mind, the one who has an intellect, the one who has different tendencies and ideas and inclinations, the soul. And so the being of consciousness at some stage has entered the physical world and gets associated with the body, gets associated with this body. And with this body, we play out the part. We interact and we express and experiment using the body. And at some stage, the being of consciousness will leave. And then the body is laid down and becomes a corpse and returns to dust. So this is kind of the spiritual perspective, and the being, the invisible experiencer, comes from another dimension. A visit, plays the game, uses the body to play the game, and then moves on. And so this whole experience here is extra. That is one way to see life. It is an extra experience for the being of consciousness. It is a play, or it is a game. And the being of consciousness is a player, is an actor who's acting out the part, is a visitor in this physical world. And so this is a nice bit of theoretical context for this idea of a game called life. So this, when we use this word, human being, and I may have mentioned this before, you may have heard it before, it has two parts, human and being. Human is the body and the things around the body. relationships, position, possession, and nationality, ethnicity, gender. That all is part of the human. But the being is consciousness. The being is invisible, invisible experiencer. Now, this mouth, for example, it doesn't speak by itself. It is the being, consciousness, that uses the mouth to speak. And these ideas, they don't belong to the mouth, they belong to the being. And it is the being that uses the mouth to express certain things. And so the being is the invisible experiencer. These eyes, they don't see for themselves. It is the being that uses the eyes to see. These ears is not the ears that is hearing. It is the being that listens through by using the ears. So the being is that invisible consciousness, experiencer, using the body. And so as a being or a spiritual being, we have an innate nature. And part of that innate nature is to play. Another part of that innate nature is to be free. We don't like to be in jail. We don't like to be in bondage. We don't like to be dependent. It is part of our nature to be free, in the same way as it is part of our nature to play. It is part of our nature to be in harmony, to experience a certain harmony. It is part of our nature to experience equality. When there is no equality, we feel this uncomfortable. Or sometimes even we get angry or we resist inequality. Part of our natural nature is a certain experience of love, is a certain experience of being secure. All of this is part of our natural nature as a spiritual being, a soul. And how we know that is part of our nature is because when we move away from this, we don't feel good. When we don't like it when there is no love in our life. If we don't love, or if no one loves me, if there's no experience for love, then we feel life is dry. When there is inequality, we resist it. When we are not free, we feel it doesn't make us feel good. We always strive for a certain equality, for certain freedom, for certain love. For feeling secure. Much of the actions that we perform are aimed at making ourselves feel secure. And an expression of love for others is trying to make them feel secure. Now, to play also is part of our innate nature. We feel happy and we feel good when we play. But almost that inner child, we have killed it. Our society and our culture worldwide doesn't allow that natural childlike nature to come out. And there is another part in us that is acquired over time. Sorry. Over time, that innate nature has become eclipsed, you could say, by what we call ego. Come on. By what we call ego and what we call attachments. Over time, we get into identifications, ego, and we get into attachments. And that ego and that attachment creates its own desires and its own complaints and its own demands. And we lose that childlike, innocent, modest, humble nature. And then we start to look down on certain things or up to certain things or needy for certain things. And competition starts. And that playful element disappears. We have made we have lost this bigger perspective to see the whole physical dimension as an extra game. And we have lost the perspective of ourselves as spiritual beings who are just visiting this physical world. We are temporarily a visitor in this body, using this body to experience, express, to interact, and to bring to this game our inner, what would you, qualities and our refined skills. We have lost this bigger perspective and we've gotten attached, or we've gotten into the ego of the body or of some money or of some position or possession. And our vision narrows and it just becomes money, 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 or maybe some person, or some position or some whatever, some object within this game becomes out of proportion important for me, and I want to have it, I want to hold on to it, I create a sense of value based on it. We get into the bondage and we lose the bigger picture of game. Now, so say for example, if they're playing football and football has its rules and there are two teams and there are goals and there is a ball and the team should, every team should try and get the ball and score in the goal. Now, if one team player, one team member forgets it is a team and he forgets it is a game and he forgets that the ball has to be scored, and he grabs hold of the ball and he says, my ball, I want my ball, this is my ball. Then he spoils the game. And he spoils the game for himself also. He can't enjoy the game and he will get into trouble with all his all the other players. But he doesn't understand the rules of the game. And then it becomes a reason for the game gets spoiled and he himself will not experience any joy from it. Anyway, because he gets into the attachment of wanting to own the ball and wanting to hold on to the ball. Something similar happens in this bigger game. We get into what would this kind of blindness, a kind of short-sightedness, and we get stuck on something or someone or or some situation, and we lose sight of the bigger picture. And we can't experience the real journey of life. And what makes a game a game? What are characteristics of something being a game? Now, in a game, there are different players. Most of the time, there are different players. And a game is meant for entertainment. A game is meant to show your skills. A game is meant to refine your abilities and your qualities. But at the end of the game, there will be winners and there will be losers. But at the end of the game, it all doesn't matter. We are still friends, or we are still brothers and sisters. And when the game finishes, it doesn't destroy our relationships as players. And so in this game, it is the same thing. If this is the game, the physical world, we are a family of players, a family of souls. All of us are beings of light, spiritual beings, beings of peace, souls. We belong to a family of beings of light. And we are a family of players. And we come here to play this game. We adopt a body to express the higher qualities and the abilities of the soul, which is, for example, our ability to love. Now, if in a game, part of the game is your ability to love, you have to show your ability to love. So in that game, there will come tests to see how loving you are. So something or someone can play that part of being a test. So that person says, your nose is ugly. It is part of the game. Because the whole idea was, you show your power of love, your power of spiritual vision. If you know that you are a soul, you are this, playing out this part. Now this one is the part of this soul. So both are playing a game. And in the game, you are tested. How much can you love under provocation, regardless of what happens in the body? So someone say your nose is ugly. It's part of the game to see if you can play the game with good, how do you say, good spirits. Can I still love? Can I see beyond the part and see my spiritual brother, the soul, and hold on to those feelings of universal brotherhood, which are at this level, a family of invisible experiencers. So here on this Zoom, we are about, 30, maybe some 30 of us are here. And we can see the black boxes with the names, and you can see some cameras on, so you see the body and the face. But behind there are spiritual beings, beings of consciousness. And we are all brothers, whether we realize or not, whether we are awake to this truth or not. the invisible experiencer, the invisible player is a soul. And as souls, we are brothers, beings of light. And we are here to play this. We play out our parts. And so, whatever the interaction at the game level may be, I can always behind hold my awareness of family and of a deeper sense of belonging and of awareness of universal brotherhood. Now, at a bodily level, we are not brothers. No, at the physical level, I have a mother and a father, and you have a mother and a father, and they are different. We are not brothers. But as beings of consciousness, we are alike, we are equal, and we belong to that same family and to that same supreme parents, God. And we come here to play as children, but we have forgotten that it is a play. The play has taken over, and we have gotten into this ego and this attachment, and it spoils the game. And it spoils our experience of the game. We can't enjoy the game anymore, and then we start crying. There was one as children, sometimes we play invisible games. And so this girl, she was playing with dolls, but invisible dolls. And she was playing that there was a kitchen and the invisible dolls were cooking invisibly. There was not even a real doll. She was just playing invisible in her mind. And so her brother comes in, he observes this thing, and he grasps and he plays out that he grasps the invisible doll, and he throws the invisible doll out of the window. And the little girl starts crying. He did not even, it was make believe play. And he played along and he wanted to be a bit naughty with her. So he said, okay, I'm taking this invisible doll, throwing it out of the window. And this girl started crying, and you can't console her because he threw her doll out of the window. It gives you an insight into what has happened with our minds, how quickly we get sucked in, and how quickly we get into this limited mind and ownership and identifying. And then we suffer for no reason at all, actually. And something similar on a bigger scale also. The being of consciousness. We have come here to play. And there are scenes of party, there are scenes of harmony, there are scenes of adventure, there are scenes of courage, there are scenes of comedy, there are scenes of horror, there are scenes of war, different scenes in this play, different circumstances for the being to play and refine the skills, learn, express the inner virtues and potential. But at the end of the game, when the game finishes, the game ends, we all still exist because the soul is immortal, the soul is timeless. And we will all just go back home to the invisible dimension. And we will always remain spiritual brothers, even though the game comes to an end. And after a while, we may want to play another game again. And so we will come from the home, no, the soul world, or the home of peace, or nirvana. It has many names. The home of the beings of light. We go back home, where is also the parent, the supreme soul. But after a while, we may want to come and play a game again. And so we will come again, play a game, and when the game ends, go back home. When we use this bigger perspective and experiment with every life situation with this game spirit, life itself will become a big journey, a big adventure. And the changing scenes of life will not be a problem, but will actually bring out a certain cheer in us, because it is the variety of the game. And we will not want to hold on to certain things, but let life flow naturally. We are the invisible observers, the invisible players. And this is just temporarily like the bat, you could say. A batsman plays, and this body is like a bat with which you play the game. Play the game called life. And in every game, there are all kinds of unexpected situations, unpredictable situations. There are pleasant moments, there are challenging moments, there are moments that demand concentration and intensity of skills, and at other times there is relaxation and things go smooth. Variety of situations, but that is all part of the game. And when we go through it in that game mode, it will be a much richer experience than if we are in a victim mode, or if we are in a beggar mode, or if we are in a mode of dependency, or in the mode of feeling suppressed and in bondage. It is much more useful to be in a player mindset, in a guest mindset, in a actor mindset, than in a beggar. And this kind of mindset, victim, beggar, bondage, it is governed by ego and by attachments. And it will be the same life you lead, it will be the same scenes that we go through, but we will be, because we're in a victim mode or in a beggar mode, the internal atmosphere and our feelings will be of anxiety and stress and fear and anger and greed. Whilst if we're in the playful mode, it will be the energy of courage. It will be the energy of adventure. It will be the energy of creativity and resourcefulness and cheer. Choice is ours. What do we choose as our perspective? What do we choose as our frame of mind and our attitude towards life? Life as a game. It will be nice to hear something from all of you. Want to say anything or ask anything?
Good evening, sister. Sorry. I don't know.
The sound is not, it is broken up.
Okay. No. Hello, hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Now, yes.
Okay, okay. Sister, if I understand it, no? What you're telling, it's our nature is to play mode. We are in a player mode, and that brings happiness, courage. You play. That life is a play. But if you are in a victim mode, you experience it different. So it's up to us. It's up to us not to be in a victim mode. So if you are in a victim mode, you have to change it. How can we change it? That's right.
Of course we can, but we need to fill ourselves with more wisdom, with spiritual understandings, and with practice. And of course, meditation is part of that. But just change your perspective. Why should we be victims? We don't need to be. It is my choice inside if I position myself as a victim or if I position myself as as an observer or as a guest or as a player. That is my choice. How do I position myself? I've seen it within myself. No? Sometimes, even today, there was some situation and some of the workers in the building not cooperative and unreasonably not cooperative. And so initially I was trying to get him to do what needs to be done. And feeling there is a need. But I don't need anything. And he's just supposed to be doing his job. I'm not asking him a favor or anything. And I observed within myself, the moment I shifted my attitude, I became light. I'm not a victim here. We're just talking about something that is useful and normal and natural. And I don't need to beg from anyone. I don't need to be a victim, put him in a position of authority. It was just a game of power play, seeing who will succumb. And looking back afterwards, I even had to laugh about the silliness. So the situation is not yet resolved because some action has to be taken tomorrow. But looking back now at it, it was just a game of power play and authority and seeing if I could be victimized. No, I don't need to succumb to that. Why should I lose my peace and joy over some sin? And this was the scene in this game to provoke and a test. Can I hold that bigger perspective? And can I still hold that vision of that one as a soul also? My spiritual brother. And playing with.
It is a question to stay in this soul consciousness, that you are a soul and the other is also. And
it is a practice.
Sister, I have another question. It's just when we descend from the vault of souls, no, from Paranam, when we descend, we go on a journey. We enter the body, and we become a visitor in that body and in that land where we take birth. And does the journey stop for a while and until you leave the body again and continue the journey to take another role in the world drama? Is that so, or while you are in the body you are still on a journey, or are you a visitor in that body at that moment? Not, and you are not on the journey.
No, we're constantly on the journey. When the soul is not home, you're on the journey.
You're on the journey. Okay. Okay. It's very beautiful session you are giving. I have been with you many more times, but it is not for a long time. I was not with you, but I'm back. I'm back with you. Thank you very much.
Very good. Anyone else? It's nice to see Mita also.
Hi, sister. So I like to share my journey, like how I made one recent incident as a play. So I bought deck umbrella, and then I had to put like 4 50-pound bags as a base to fill in the base. And I bought the sand, and then I was away for 1 month. When I came back, my son asked for help. He said, "Okay, I'm ready to help you." So we were trying to fill up the sand, and the sand got wet because it rained many times, and it was my mistake. I did not cover it. So now what to do? 4 50-pound bags, 200 total pound sand, wet sand. You cannot do anything with it. So either I get upset and I return to the store. Then I thought option was to return to the store because it got wet. But then I thought it's not right because it was my fault. What would I do with the sand? So you won't believe, something came in my mind. I brought 4 long bed sheets, and each bed sheet I sprayed like 50-pound sand. 4, I covered the whole entire deck with the sand, like beach. It was almost like a beach. And and I was like praying sun. It was off and on sun. I'm like, what if it rains? The sand can be everywhere and can make big mess. So I was praying off and on, and I bought all the pots. I was like child on that day and experienced like a beach. So I kept spreading sand all day, like not all day, periodically, every 1 hour I would come and spread. At the end of the day, it was completely 100% dry sand. And it took me 10 minutes to fill those 4 boxes with the sand. And unbelievable how I came idea in my mind. I did not go back because it was my fault, and everything got dry up, and I enjoyed actually like a kid playing in the sand all day.
Playing in the sand on the
And when my son came, it was already, I said, I'm done. I finished it myself. So that was a quiet experience.
Yeah. It is nice to hold that attitude.
Right. Yeah.
And experiment with this attitude.
These are the 4 boxes I'm talking about. It's 4 boxes I filled up with a 50-pound sand in each. So 200-pound sand to carry this giant umbrella I have. Yeah. So I was so happy when I finished this project. I'm like, wow, I did it without, like doing right way. So
yeah. Very nice.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm Susan. I think this is an excellent perspective, and I really want to practice it. I just have a question. You know, when you're talking about life, what about in a situation of when you're dealing, for example, with serious illness, something like that?
Yeah. You know, this perspective is more like a preventive measure, no? And a building up of power. And so we practice this especially when the going is good. When with everyday little situations, you practice it. And then when big situations come, when serious situations come, it is already a habit within to be more light and more light-hearted about it. And chances are that if you have practiced this and have this habit of looking things in that way, you will not be bogged down by something like physical illness. No, and it doesn't mean that the physical illness is not a serious thing. It is a serious thing. But because of your holding on to it in a light-hearted way, you will be able to deal with it better. And the quality of your life will be higher than if you have that if you have that victim mode or that beggar mode or that bondage mode. And I've seen the background is in medicine, and for more than 15 years, I practiced medicine. And one period I worked in a nursing home. And at one stage, I had two patients who had similar, the same diagnosis and similar symptoms and similar manifestation of illness. But one person was always complaining. He was always fighting and always resisting. And the other one was always in a good mood. He was always reflective and cooperative and always making compliments. They were in the same physical, it was a metastatic prostatic cancer and with bone metastasis, which were very painful also. And the one who had this complaining attitude, this fighting attitude, this victim attitude, he was all the time asking for painkillers, all the time demanding attention, all the time complaining and cursing. The other one, same patterns and same level of pain, but he never wanted painkillers. He said, I want to hold my clarity of mind and I want to conquer this tendency to succumb and to give in. I want power of mind that will go with me. And he was so pleasant. And he said, this is just another bump on the journey of life. And I want to take this bump with flying colors. He used to tell me every time when we had deeper discussions, I am taking this bump with flying colors. This is just a test. And so, same situation, but two different mindsets. The one who had that attitude of complaining and victim, his last year of life was miserable. Whilst the other one, when I remember when we used to have long talks after I would finish work, many times I would go and visit him and have a chat with him before I would go home. And sometimes we would have long talks. And he used to say, this is one of the most beautiful times of my life. And not because I can do so much, but the richness and the depth and the quality of my relationships with others. is so much richer than it was many times during my life before. And the depth of feelings and exchange and conversations, so much more quality. And so he was thankful, not for the illness in itself, but for that period of time which gave him a higher richness, which made him transcend the limitations of his body. And so what I'm trying to say is, don't wait until things really get difficult. And even if you have certain challenges now, still we can practice, and shift our mindset, because the quality of your life will be better. Even in difficult situations, it is more useful to have a play mentality, an observer mentality, an actor mentality, than a beggar mentality or than a victim mentality.
Thank you.
I have-
That helps.
But
I have a
don't wait for the challenges to come.
Yes.
Like I said, even washing the dishes, playing with water. Mita was giving this nice example, playing with sand. I'm on the beach like a child. Turn little things into a game. Create this habit inside.
I have a question. Bill, can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
When we're in the spiritual realm or home, as you referred to,
Yeah.
and we want to go play a game, how does that happen? Do we choose what body we want to? We have to be born into the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do we choose what body we're going to play this game in? And
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is that there's so many children that are born with severe diseases and mental diseases or physical diseases. What about, do people choose that? Does that spirit choose to take on that body?
If we had a choice, we would never choose like that, no? But I mean, this question actually is a bit deeper and beyond the level of this lecture, and for that you would need to do the courses. It is a bit more in-depth spirituality, but I can give at least some insights into this process. First of all, this journey or this play is not necessarily of one life. So the soul can go from one body and not go home, but go into another body to continue the play, to continue the journey.
As a baby?
The soul leaving a body, so the body dies and then comes into another body in the womb, and then, of course, gets born again. And this whole process, what is called rebirth or reincarnation, is part of the journey and the play of the soul. So the soul can come from the soul world, from the home, take a body, and then take another body, take another body, take another body, and then go back home. Not necessarily it is just one body. For many, it is more than one body. And so when we come from the soul world, we are clean. So the first time when we come in a body, we are clean. And then the body will be healthy. And the circumstances will be favorable. But on the journey, we get into that lower consciousness. We get into attachments and ego. And then we as if build up a certain debt, which is called karma. And the qualities of our actions diminishes. And the tendencies in the soul get lower. Into from love, it becomes attachment or greed or jealousy. From playfulness and bliss and freedom, we get into jealousy and fear and anxiety. And so in those kinds of lower states of consciousness, we perform actions of a lower quality. And the quality of our actions and the quality of our tendencies decide our next birth. So it is not that I leave the body and then I choose, oh, I want to go there, but it is my karmic credit or debit that decides where will be the next birth. And so if there, say for example, I'm just giving a theoretical example. If in one lifetime I indulge in sugar, indulge in food, indulge in all kinds of unhealthy things, so I have as if a karmic debt. And that the soul takes that debt with it and gets born into a body that is not so healthy, and maybe even have diabetes or develop diabetes at a young age, because that is the as if balancing force from previous actions done and inclinations towards indulgence in consciousness. So it is not that we choose, I want to have that body or I want to have that body, but I choose the quality of my actions now. And if I choose the highest quality of actions now, then that will bring the highest return. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, but also in the future of the game and in the body that we are born in.
So it has to basically do with how well you live your life, what the next one's going to be like.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, let's close. We are past our time already. Let's have a minute of silence, and then Anita may still have some announcements. Or maybe Anita, you can do that now, and then we close with a minute of silence.
Thank you, Sister Rona. So in the month of July, which actually going on, and from July 26th, we are offering a 7-day immersive retreat on Zoom, which in which we will, the Raj Yoga meditation will be taught. So if you have any interest, please sign up for that. The information for that is available on our website, manhattanmeditationcenter.org. The retreat has 2 sessions, a 2-hour lesson in the morning, and it will be followed in the evening by a meditation. So it's kind of 7 days continuously you are in that environment where you're listening, churning, and then you're reflecting with Sister Rona in the night. So it really gives a very immersive experience and open the intellect to really new ideas. So I personally will encourage you to sign up. Even if you have done it before, do it one more time. Thank you, Sister Rona.
Okay. So let's close with a minute of silence. Thank you. And have a good night.
I have a question, Sister Rona.
Good night.
The 7